This is the Candy Confetti print in chiffon, and it's exclusive to Minerva and is just beautiful. So it is completely sheer, but it's also got this silver stripe that runs through it. It's utterly gorgeous. And after having a little think, I decided I was going to go with the Stylark Hope dress, but I'm making some adaptations. I'm not going straight off the book. So firstly, as you can see, I'm adding pockets. That's not that surprising. The second one is, instead of using the standard Hope bodice, I'm using the extension. So that is the bodice with the slash front with the little tie at the top, and I'm doing the really, really big sleeve that pulls into an elasticated hem just below the elbow. Now, before I started constructing this, I really paused to think whether I needed to do this with French seams. Because the fabric's completely sheer, my seams were going to be visible. The problem with this is my plan for this skirt is to completely disregard the patterns skirt and create a tiered gathered moment. And French seams and gathers create a very bulky outcome. So I ran a little sample, did a little overlock because it is a fray fabric, so it will need some sort of seam finishing. And I was actually happy with how the overlocking was visible through, and so decided to go with that as my method. If you were doing any other type of garment in this fabric, I would suggest French seams would be a beautiful thing. But for this one, it wasn't the case. So I'm just adding the elastic into the bottom of these sleeves to finish off the bodice. And now I'm going to start on my tiers. So I'm going to put 3 tiers on, and each is just a rectangular piece. I'm using the width of the fabric to dictate how full these are going to be. So my top tier is 40 centimeters deep, and it's 1 width of the fabric. I've sliced it into 2 pieces so that I can add my pockets into those side seams. And then my second tier is 2 widths of fabric at 30 centimeters deep, and my third tier is 4 widths of fabric so that it really has a nice bit of fullness, but only 15 centimeters. So it's kind of more like a frill. And each one is just being gathered onto the previous one. So the first one onto the bottom of the bodice, etc., etc. I did make sure to put the hem onto my last tier before I gathered it on, because it is a lot easier to hem it at this point than once it's been gathered into place. But each time gathered, sewn it on, and then overlocked it just to neaten everything off. And then the dress was complete. Now, I love this little tie detail on the front. I just think it adds just a little something, a little detail up the top. But for the full reveal, oh, I am so thrilled with how this has come out. I think the frills and the tiering and the gathers has just really brought it to life. I've paired it over the top of a pair of black leggings and a vest top, but I feel like I can experiment with the options I've got available to what I could pop underneath this because of it being sheer. But I just think it's come together so beautifully, and this fabric is just so fun.